This UCSD TV program is presented by University of California Television. Like what you learn? Visit our website or follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest programs.
The music of Elixir of Love. I call it the Italian Gilbert and Sullivan, kind of. There's a lot of bel canto, a lot of lyrical writing. It's also a melodrama, so there's some drama, some sentiment, some melancholy moods, but it's very lighthearted, and the articulation needs to be very lighthearted. And I like to keep it going at a good pace.
We think it's an opera buffa. In the score, it actually describes itself as a melodrama. And what that means, I think, is it's a serious comedy in the same way that, say, something like Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing is a serious comedy, you know. But it's not just a kind of commedia dell'arte piece. It's a very sophisticated comedy.
This character is not a comic character, but is a naive character. He's a peasant. He doesn't know really well what is going to be smart in the world. So for him, if you tell him some story, he will believe you. He's open to believe everybody, so he can believe that a real Elixir of love exists.
Quanto è cara, quanto è bella, quanto è bella, quanto è cara, più la vedo e più
I think Adina, she's in love from the beginning with Nemorino. She says at the beginning, you know, I'm a little bit a girl that like to be free. That's not true. It's just she is teasing him. She wants to be conquered by him. So she likes his behavior, and she's not ready.
Col cambiarsi qual tu fai, può cambiarsi ogni altro amore, ma non può giammai il primiero uscir dal cor. Uscir dal cor.
First of all, she's a girl, and she's having a problem with expressing herself. Not expressing herself because she likes to be in the center of attention. She's always actually in the center of attention, but she has a problem to express her feelings. In this case, she gets in a lot of troubles because she loves Nemorino, but she is very stubborn to tell him. So actually, she traps herself in a marriage with Belcore, which she doesn't really want. It's just to push Nemorino and tease him more.
Well, Belcore is he's the foil. He's the romantic foil. He's the local Legion sergeant who moves from town to town, ostensibly keeping the peace, but he's actually also on the make for most of these visits. So I think basically he comes to each town and finds a pretty girl and tries to spend some quality time with her. And Adina happens to be the pretty girl that he's trying to spend some time with this time around. She, on the other hand, he's the perfect foil for this moment because she's attempting to get Nemorino jealous, to get him out of his kind of shy cocoon that he's in. And the result is that Belcore is highly encouraged, but not likely to succeed, no matter what.
Start to laugh.
By the end of the opera, we see an evolution of the character, like the war. He's prepared to go to the war just to forget her love, and to become a man.
She comes only by the end of the Act 2 to explode and tell him, "I'm sorry, and I love you."
Ask any opera singer what the opera's about, and it's about them.
Io già suppongo e immagino che al par di me sappiate che io sono quel gran medico, dottore enciclopedico, chiamato Dulcamara, la cui virtù preclara e i portenti infiniti son noti all'universo e in altri siti.
Dulcamara is a traveling salesman and perhaps a bit of a snake oil salesman. And particularly in this production, Dulcamara is a bit of a charlatan, maybe not the most honest or most successful salesman, but he travels around selling elixirs, etc. And he stumbles across this little village where Nemorino and Adina and Gianetta live, and he starts to sort of peddle his wares. First, just sort of generally peddling his wares to the town at large, and then when he's approached by Nemorino, asking for an elixir of love, which, interestingly enough, is the title of the opera. Dulcamara concocts an elixir that he claims to be an elixir of love, a love potion number 9, perhaps. As they say, hilarity ensues.
E veramente amato sarò da lei, da tutte io te prometto. Senti di far l'effetto dell'elisir tu vuoi, bevine tosto un'altra dose.
You know, I sort of grew up watching Monty Python and like Danny Kaye and the Inspector General, and that sort of physical comedy, and especially with Danny Kaye, like Inspector General, physical comedy rooted in music is just sort of part of, is part of sort of who I am. And it's such a blast, especially when you have music that's as beautiful and wonderful as Donizetti, which has this gorgeous lyric lines, but also this wonderful underpinning and sort of structure that supports comic timing, comic bits. You know, you start to leave, and the tenor goes, hey, don't leave. And so you start to leave, and he grabs you again. And that sort of setup, anticipation break that is great for comedy is all throughout the Donizetti. So it's a blast for me to play. He's a genius. He's one of the great opera directors, and he and I have we've crossed paths many times throughout the past decade and a half, and I've loved his shows from afar. It's a luxury for a singer to have someone who is that good at guiding them, knows the opera so well.
You all start to look at your neighbours and discreetly take your money out from wherever it's hidden. Yeah. Shoes, ladies, gentlemen in cleavage. No, gentlemen. But it needs, and you guys need to stand up. So the sense of it is that you're very suspicious of your neighbours knowing where your cash is.
Another part of the precision of Stephen's work is that he knows the music so well, that he can fit the comic beats or the romantic beats into the musical framework, which just makes the gestalt better for the performer and, best of all, for the audience.
Patria, homeland, we all stand up, put our hand over our hearts. And if you have a hat, and take your hat. Di patria.
Il dolce affetto
This one really, oh God's sake. Comedy is, it's an art. The difference of a beat can mean whether you get a good, genuine laugh or no laugh at all. And a lot, what I admire, and I think it is a specifically American thing, this, is what I like is the long, slow burn. You know, that you don't have to hit the audience in the face to make them laugh. You can you can seduce them into laughing is possibly the best way of putting it. That's a good laugh. That's genuine for me.
So she says, she's reading this bizarre story, the story of Tristan and Isolde. And she says, è una storia di Tristano. And you're peasants, you haven't a clue who this is. È storia di Tristano. Yeah. And then she says, è una cronaca d'amore. Romance. Leggi.
The chorus, and by extension, the character Gianetta, for example, they are the litmus paper for this piece. They let the audience know what it is they should be thinking, because sometimes, I mean, the character's behaviour is so deliberately contradictory. Like, for example, is Adina at the end of Act 1, is she still a good person, or is she, dare I say, you know, the bitch from hell? I mean, in her treatment of Nemorino, and it's the audience's, it's the chorus's response to that, and Gianetta's response as well, that tells the audience what to think about it. You do get a sense of community, of a group of people that knows each other, knows each other's business, that clubs together in adversity. I started out as an assistant director. I was very fortunate when I started. I assisted John Cox at Glyndebourne and Sir Peter Hall at Glyndebourne. Then I went to Covent Garden and I assisted, everybody really. Kurtz Friedrich, Elijah Mashinsky, John Schlesinger. It was a fantastically useful way of learning how the business operates. And I'm always on the lookout for, especially as I get older, for people who are going to do the same sort of things, you know, that I did then, that they're going to do for me now. And you know, Joel here has been absolutely fantastic with the chorus and everything, and somebody I trust implicitly. And it's a hugely important job.
No, just please, thank you. Thank you. So
a lot of the time, the director really likes to focus on the principal artists, and that's really the featured performers in the stage. So he will, at a certain point, he puts the show up, and then he really focuses on them, and kind of lets me step aside and take care of the chorus.
Max, this is your thing, and this is where she's going to be.
The difference between chorus and supers. Supers are extra performers that may or may not have any kind of musical talent, even though it is opera, but they are still a very important part of onstage productions. They open the doors. It's a lot of timing things that if it doesn't happen just right, it affects the whole production. So I have to work with them more like I work with actors. So there's a difference between musicians and actors and theater performers, and they're all different. So it's about finding a way to bridge that gap. Besides that, I also work side by side with the stage management team in doing a lot of paperwork. I create a bows list for every production for how the curtain call will go.
Maestro, no, one bow and then maestro. One bow.
I do scheduling for the supers. I do a detailed character scene breakdown. So I have a paperwork element to my job and then a practical element in the room and in mounting the production on stage. Once you're in the theater with lighting and sound and everything, you want to be able to give the technicians as realistic of a rehearsal as possible. So at any moment, if a performer calls in sick, then I'm ready to go on. I'm responsible for knowing everyone's blocking, the chorus, the supers, and the principal artists. So it's all in my book, and I was up on stage wearing the headset, listening to the stage management in my left ear while I was holding the score and singing the role of Adina the other night, so. It's live theater, so like we say, anything can happen at any time, and that's one of the greatest parts about what we do.
And then we get to come through the doors, close the doors, slide the walls out,
The conductor ties into the whole package of creating an opera in that I'm observing the rehearsal process. Now, I come in with a vision of what I want and also a vision of what I don't want, which is almost equally important. Of course, I'm in charge of the global pacing of the piece, but each character has its own color, its own tempo, what's written down on the page, but also each individual singer. I don't usually push people over the limit of what they can do, and I tend to rehearse a little bit faster than it probably will be, because if you rehearse a group faster and then take it back, it never goes below a certain level. And so I usually push, and then I can relax to a tempo that is still light enough but doesn't strangle anybody in the pit or on stage. Comic timing is also something that we do in the rehearsals. Like, I have to see what movements are being made, and then I adjust the articulations that I want to that. They were like, gosh, this is fast. And it begins ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-bum, bum, bum. And so this bum ba-dum ba-dum bum yamo yamam riam ba-dum ba-da funiculi funicula is everywhere in this piece. So that's one thing people can listen for, and also patter. The different types of patter. Some of it is a little sentimental, some of it is excited, some of it is like with Dulcamara, it's mischievous.
E questo lo lontano mirabile di cuore, le coppie dei vicini, possente di scultore, in cui certi fricati, autentici ballati, con far vedere lettere a ciascun modo. Per questo mio specifico, simpatico, prolifico, un uomo settuagenario, e valeggiorinario, non di 10 bangoli, ma ora diventò, di 10 a 20 bangoli, fin non diventò. Per questo ciò che sana, in breve settimana, d'una firma vedova di piangere ciasò.
He's a quintessential buffo character with an enormous amount of things to say. As a charlatan, as a snake oil salesman would, and it's cooked into his role as patter. His opening aria is one of the great patter arias ever written, and he rambles off page after page after page of words, and it's such a blast to sing.
And that's always fun, I think, for first-time opera goers. And then there's a slow, sort of a slow motion pattern when the girls come in the second act. E ne mori, no, yum, bum, ba bum, bum. These repetitive patterns, it's minimalistic enough that it's calming at the same time. People just like pattern music. They do. It just makes people happy.
For me, it's the kind of perfect opera. It's short, it's perfectly constructed, one act balances the other act. And it is about something, I think, kind of fundamental somewhere, really, which is that it's about the good things in life. It's about food and wine and community and love and the good guy winning.
Yeah, you need to leave one so when we put the cart down there, Cal. Prep table. We'll bring it down stage here.
For now, I'm going to put them on my prop cars. I guess they can ride with that. That makes more sense.
I have no depth perception at all. He said to stay on the stairs, so I figured I'd try.